Do you need help, or do you just want to make sure that you're thriving in your 9-to-5 corporate office full-time job? You want to get the promotion, you want to feel like your life is under control, you want to feel like work isn't actually everything, because it's not, but you still want to do a good job? Well, I have some new tips for you, and you might want to hear them. Hi guys, my name is Jenna. If you guys are new here, welcome back to my channel and welcome to 10 tips to help you thrive in your 9-to-5 life. I made a video 2 years ago on 10 tips adjusting to your 9-to-5 life, and that's one of my most viewed videos. I did not think it would pop off, but I think I can understand why. If you subscribed from that video or you're a returning subscriber, then you know that I have my Work to Live Diaries vlog series where I take you guys through how I'm living a well-balanced life, still working my full-time corporate job. I am an operations manager internally at an accounting and advisory firm in the United States. I've been working for 6 years straight now. I've been working at the same company. I've just moved roles a bunch of times, and now I'm an operations manager. And I have some tips for you in terms of thriving in your 9-to-5 life. I spent a long time thinking about these, and I wanted to make sure that these were completely new tips from my first video. So make sure you guys watch the first video. I'll leave it linked in the description box if you want to just have some good tips in terms of adjusting to your 9-to-5 life. I also asked you guys on my Instagram story if you had any tips yourself, so I'll leave those at the end. Also, I do want to disclaim that these are just tips that I have. I'm not saying that like you need to have these tips. These are just things that have helped me. I just want to disclaim they might not work for you, and I'm not saying that my advice is like a tell-all be-all. Is that the phrase? I don't know. But these are just things that have helped me, and I'm just sharing them for anybody that might spark some thought or inspiration or something for somebody else. I think that's everything. If you guys like what you hear and you want 10 tips for thriving in your 9-to-5 life, let's go ahead and get started. Tip number 1, identify your strengths. This is a very open-ended tip, but I just feel like it's really important to know what you're actually good at when it comes to your job. Do you like doing the actual work? Do you like doing the presentations? Do you like doing communication when you're speaking to clients or stakeholders? Creating visuals? Do you like working in data, or do you like synthesizing data? Like, there's so many different aspects. Make a list of all of your actual roles and responsibilities and just star which ones you think you're actually really good at. Not only is this really good for your confidence at your job, but knowing what your strengths are really allows you to like put more passion and really hone in on utilizing those strengths. I think it gives you more control in your career to know what your strengths are and use them to the best of your ability. For me, I would say my 2 strengths are organization and communication. I feel like they go really hand in hand, but it's something that I think not only helps me in my job. If I can stay organized and I can communicate well with everybody that I'm working with, then it just honestly allows me to like mentally unplug after work, and I'm not thinking about work because I know I've set everything up, or I know where my projects are at, or my teammates know how I'm doing in terms of the work that maybe we're collaborating on. Having strong communication and organization allows me to feel like I have more control in my job, in my day-to-day life, and through that, it really allows me to, I think, achieve a good work-life balance, at least one portion of it. Tip number 2, make your boss's life easy. And I think this definitely depends. Like, I think honestly, all of these tips are a whole, it depends. It depends on your job. It depends on your team. It depends on who your boss is. It depends on, you know, like the culture and dynamic of your team. So again, these are really just things that are specific to me. But something that I think is always really important with every single job that I've had, I think like 3 or 4 different bosses now. Something that I think is really beneficial when it comes to being like an office or a corporate employee is making your boss's life easy, because if they know where you're at in terms of the progress of your projects, in terms of like what projects are open and closed, what even your 3 to 6 goals are for your job, then if your boss feels good about what you're doing, then they don't have to like question or start to be skeptical about your work. Similarly to tip number 1, I feel like it showcases confidence, and being confident with your job, even if you're not. We all have imposter syndrome, okay? But if we can just like fake it till you make it and fake the confidence, then in a way you kind of just become more confident. At least that's what I think. And if you just think about it, like making your boss's life easy just has them feel more confident in you as an employee. So not only are you confident, but your boss is confident in you, and then in that returns, you know, a good raise or a promotion or something. So making your boss's life easy is something that I think is so important, because we can't just do a good job. Unless your job is more individual contributor, like ticket based, then I would say disregard this. But if your job is any sort of collaborative or team based, making sure your boss's life is easy and they know where you're at and they're just kind of in general in the know with everything can only make your life easier too. It makes them think like, oh, Jenna has her stuff together. Like, she knows what she's doing. And so yeah, with your job, just think to yourself, how can I make my boss's life easier? And you'd be surprised the things that you come up with. Tip number 3, this is an expansion of just overall staying organized. And I think this is actually the one like technical tip that I repeated from the first video, which was 10 tips adjusting to your 9-to-5 life. But staying organized is truly, I think, how you'll be able to thrive. It's one of the things that I'm passionate about. It's something that I feel like is a strength for me because I've like made it a strength. Like I've forced myself to be organized. And two very, very specific ways that you can stay organized is keeping a OneNote notebook. So whatever, you know, online notebook, whatever you have. I think most people probably use Microsoft. So if you have a OneNote, make a OneNote notebook for every single area of your job, for project work, for personal / development work, for a separate initiative, one for completely administrative things, and then in each of those notebooks, have a page for every single project or every single thought or every single topic, because that is such a good way to stay organized. If you just like go through your, sorry, the light keeps changing, but if you just go through your day-to-day, like not documenting anything and not staying organized and having all of your notes all in just one Word document, you're not gonna thrive. You know, you need to make sure that in your 8 hours every single day for 52 or, you know, I actually forget how many weeks a work year is, but if you can just stay organized with all the different things through specifically your OneNote organization, I promise it goes such a long way and it will allow you to thrive. Similarly, you need to clear your inbox weekly. And I don't just mean like delete everything, but like make folders in your actual Outlook or Gmail or whatever you use for your job, and make folders for different areas of your job. Make folders for project work, for like outstanding items, for every single initiative that you're a part of when it comes to your job, because there's a lot. Like, you'd be surprised. I even have a folder for just receipts because I just don't want anything to get lost. And like I said, organization is just truly the way that you also just have like more control over all of the emails that are coming in every single day. So clear your inbox weekly, because you do not want to have an inbox with 500 unread messages and then you miss something important, because that could potentially hurt you. And in order to get the raise or to get the promotion or to really thrive, you need to have control. And clearing your inbox weekly sounds so simple, but it really, really does make a difference if you don't do that, I think. Tip number 4, schedule PTO that's not travel. I think in my first video for adjusting to 9-to-5 life, it was being aware of what your PTO plan is, but I do really want to emphasize that you want to take PTO not just to travel or to do something. You also want to take PTO to actually rest, and sometimes you want to take PTO to do nothing. This is personally something that I'm dealing with for the first time ever 6 years after I've graduated. The value of actually resting and not going somewhere, which is energy draining as much as we love traveling. This is the first time ever since I started working that I took a 2-week international trip, and I did that in the beginning of the year. I think it was end of March, early April. I took 2 full weeks off, and currently right now it's the end of July and I've taken 1 day off since. And to be honest, on the day that I'm filming this is actually a mental health day that I'm taking a day of PTO, because I realized this weekend that I was bordering the edge of being burnt out with my 9-to-5 job, because I wasn't allowing myself the PTO to not travel, or just in general, I don't want to get too into it, but I was navigating like, how do I separate my PTO for the rest of the year when I just took like 2 full weeks off and I still want to have the holidays off. So those are just things that I'm truthfully still trying to like navigate and figure out, because I don't want to burn out. Take your PTO not just to travel, and sometimes you need to take PTO to just do your errands so that you don't have to fill it up on your Saturday and you can actually rest on Saturday. So take your PTO, but also take your time off to actually just like rest. A sub tip that I have for that is to make the most of your federal holidays. So for a lot of companies, if you have July 4th off, sometimes you might have July 3rd off too, just depending on your company's PTO plan. But it's good to be aware of that, because if you already have 2 days off, having 1 more day off before that, you only have 1 day of PTO, but you have a 5-day weekend, stuff like that. And especially around Thanksgiving and Christmas, Labor Day, Memorial Weekend, like I already know, because I'm like, I need to maximize that time. So make use of your PTO and schedule an extra day off during federal holidays so that you can just rest. Tip number 5, don't overpromise or underdeliver. This is something that I think is honestly really hard. And this comes with overall, in my opinion, just being really self-aware about like what you think you can handle. It's hard when you want to thrive at your job and you want to be challenged so that you can, you know, rise to the occasion and then show your boss like, look, I did this thing and like I'm thriving. You know, you want your boss to think that you're thriving. But you don't want to continue to say yes to everything all the time and fill your plate, because then the plate's going to overfill and you're going to go crazy and you're not going to be that good at any of it because your plate is too full, you know? So you don't want to overpromise on things that you feel like you don't have the capacity for. And I think this really comes with over time having a good general knowledge of what your capacity actually is and being able to say yes to something when you know that you can deliver it. You don't want to say yes to everything, especially if you don't have time for it, because it's not going to help you in the long run. But on the other side, you don't want to under deliver on things that you've said yes to because you said yes, you know? So being able to find that good sweet spot of challenging yourself if you want that, saying yes to things, but not over promising something that you know you can't deliver. And on the other side, saying yes to something that you know you can deliver in a good way. So take that as you will for whatever job you have, but it's just something that I think about all the time. Like, am I saying yes to too much? Am I over promising on things? And do I have the capacity to continue to say yes for XYZ that I want to add on to my plate at work? And in the case, because we're all human, if you do under deliver in some way, it is so important to take accountability and not just apologize for doing something wrong or delivering something late or having to review something again, but just taking accountability over maybe a mistake that was made and say like, hey, I did this and this won't happen again. And just kind of closing the loop in general, like maybe I did under deliver in some way, but if I can acknowledge that, then that awareness alone will help me the next time so that I don't have to under deliver, because I know the circumstances that I did under deliver this time. So I think it all comes with time, and honestly making mistakes is something that is really important in your job because it's the only way sometimes that you can really learn well. But I just think that accountability in all ways, not even just in your job, but in life too, accountability is so important because it showcases good leadership, it showcases self-awareness, and it showcases being able to admit if you did something wrong, which is important. And it doesn't mean that you'll do it every single time. So I hope that helps. I feel like this was Tip number 6, this is specific to anybody that works from home or works hybrid. Change your environment. Every so often, change your environment. This is actually something that Abby Weinstein, who's another 9-to-5, a full-time YouTuber, if you guys don't follow her, you have to follow her, because if you like content like mine, you will love content like hers. In the first video that I made 2 years ago, I talked about having a routine. And a routine is really important because when you know what works for you, being able to be in the cycle of knowing what works for you is really good. It allows you to thrive too. But also, changing up your routine sometimes is just good when you feel like every single day is the same and life is so mundane and my office job is so boring or something and you'd rather be doing something else. Well, if you can, go somewhere else and do that same job because it just helps so much. I was watching a video from Abby and she actually talked about this similar concept, but for her workout routine. She went to F45 all the time and she just got kind of bored with it because she just kept going and going and going. And so going to a new Pilates studio or trying out a new workout class and just changing your routine in that way can just like reignite a bit of like an interest in your job or your routine. And with that same sentiment, I really do apply that as much as I can, especially in the summer when I truthfully do not want to be working. Changing your environment and knowing that I can do my job at a coffee shop or at my sister's apartment or at my parents' house or just not at this desk, it honestly does help. And just kind of having like a change of pace allows me to be more productive and just reignite that productivity that maybe had been slacking because I've just been sitting in the same chair all day every day, you know? If you feel like you're starting to be less productive where you are, walk away, like take a midday break, walk, and come back to your desk, see if you can work. And if you still can't, literally go somewhere else to work because it will help so much. Tip number 7, this is something that's kind of related to tip number 6, but timers are everything. And I don't just mean time blocking. That was in the tips video number 1, but I mean like literally going on, I think Flocus.com or Flocus app or something, where you literally have a timer that's counting down the next 50 minutes or something for you to do a singular task or for you to just have some focus time. A lot of times for me, when I have 8 hours, sometimes I'm like, feels just kind of slow and I'm like, I don't really want to do this. I am just trying to make it to lunch, but I still have 3 hours if it's 9. If it's 1 p.m., I'm like, oh my God, I have 4 more hours. Like, it's really hard to look at your day and think of multiple hours. So breaking it up into just less than an hour, like 45 or 50 minutes to really focus on something and then giving yourself a 10-minute break or 15-minute break or whatever it is, it helps so much. Like there must be some science on the Pomodoro timer because it just is so nice. And I physically mean, like I used to actually have a physical timer, but I think it's out of battery, so I don't use it that much. Now I just go on the Flocus app and it's like a cute aesthetic countdown timer. That helps so much. It's so much better than just telling yourself like, okay, from 3 to 4, I'm gonna do this. And then just like, you're doing it But if you have something that's like counting down, it gives you that sense of pressure and urgency, or honestly just tells yourself like, okay, after this timer goes to 0, I can actually chill out for a second mentally. And it allows you to be so much more productive during the day. Timers are everything. Tip number 8 is to fill value gaps. This is something that I think really helps anybody thrive and stand out in their job. This is something that I tell people all the time when I'm having like coffee chats with anybody younger than me and they're asking for advice. This is something that I do myself that I feel like has honestly really helped me in my career path of being an operations manager. In your roles and responsibilities or in your job, in your team, be able to identify something that your team needs or something that you need or something that your boss needs. Like, what is something that can help everybody work better? And maybe this is me just speaking as like an operations nerd because I love operational efficiencies, but being able to fill value gaps is so valuable. Like, identifying something that not just you, but your team can actually work better is so valuable. And then being able to take ownership over something that helped everybody at the team or the company or whatever it is, the practice, it goes such a long way. And being able to have your stamp of ownership for that really showcases, I think, good leadership as well. If you can, identify something that you need or your team needs. Just what's like a process that could work better? What is something that could help decrease like the number of total emails? What is something that the structure of a meeting that your team could have that allows you to work better or do project showcases? Or is there a way to better showcase like the money that your team is bringing into the company? Something like that. Just being able to identify value gaps, if there are any, it will go such a long way. And I think that really allows you to thrive and help you get that like next step promotion or raise or bonus or something that you're wanting. Second to last tip, document everything. I think this is probably a sub tip of staying organized, but more specifically with documenting everything, you know how I talked about in the beginning of the video, having a OneNote notebook of like just personal things, like goals related things, what you want to accomplish in the next year or what you want to accomplish in the next 6 months at your job. It's really good to have those kind of milestones of time because it allows you to create like actual goals to help you grow in your career. Keep a note that you update at the end of every single month of like something big that you accomplished, whether it was completing a big project or presenting something to a big leader or creating something that had never been created before that everyone in the team uses, something like that, something that benefits the whole team. Being able to track like your actual value on a monthly basis allows you to first off like stay motivated to actually do something of value every single month. Just have 1 or 2 things. Like, did you host a discussion or something? It helps you so much to stay motivated, but also it helps you when it comes to the end of the annual year or the fiscal year, or maybe you're mid-year and you're about to have your performance meeting with your boss or your coach or your manager or whatever the phrase is for your company. It's so much easier to look at a note of what you did in the last 6 months than to just think like in the moment, like, okay, what did I do in the last 6 months? But if you check in every single month, it's so much easier to think about what you did in the last 30 days than the last like 180, you know? So with documenting everything and staying organized, yes, but having a specific tab of the things that you did every single month that is of value that you can speak to during your annual reviews is so helpful, and I think it'll really help you thrive. Second sub tip for documenting everything, if you have calls, there definitely was a time, I think in between maybe my like 3rd and 4th year working, maybe, I don't even know, but there's definitely some point in my life being a full-time employee where it turned into less doing and more talking, but the talking can't just like go into nothing. There's doing too. So you know, you do a bunch of things, you gain skills, and then you gain enough expertise to be able to actually like talk about things and discuss and create plans and have more meetings. Something that I realize is I need to document what those meetings are, because if I go up to this meeting, talk for 30 minutes or an hour and have really good ideas, but I didn't document anything and I didn't outline what my actions were, then nothing happens from it. And it was just a waste of everyone's time. So something with documenting that I like try to tell everyone to do too, if anybody ever asks me, I would say like take notes of your meetings, even in the ones where you're speaking, because you never know when an action item will come up. And a lot of times like we will forget those actions. I think it's something about having calls, but we will forget those actions that we said in that meeting if we don't write it down. Like we will forget. Being able to document everything includes especially like a huge asterisk over action items, because it just allows you to be organized, helps whatever project or topic or initiative that you're working on like actually move along. Because when it comes to joining all of those meetings and you're just talking the whole time, like sometimes I'll just hang up and think like, what came from that? But You can think of stuff that came from that meeting if you wrote it down though. So document everything. Those 2 specific tips of keeping a note of monthly updates of value and outlining your action items from certain meetings, those are things that I think really help. Okay, and tip number 10, the very last tip that I have, this kind of wraps everything all with a bow. It is to set boundaries. If you say yes to everything and you work really late hours because you said yes to everything and you didn't know how to say no, that is not you thriving. That is not you thriving at all, because you're gonna have a terrible work-life balance, and it's not worth the like couple $1,000s more that you're gonna get from your office job, obviously depending on what your job is and what your company is. There is so much power in saying no to things when you know that A, you can't actually do it, or B, you just don't have the time to do it because you can only do so much in your 9 to 5, 40-hour work week. For me, my boundary that I really had to set was with time. It wasn't just with saying yes and no, but I needed to be really strict about my hours of working. Like from the hours of 9 to 5, maybe 5:30, depending on how long my lunch break was, that's when I'm an employee. And after that, like I'm just not paid to be more. And there will be weeks where I do need to work late because of something, you know, very timely and very valuable, and it'll go to someone more important than me. In general, setting boundaries with your job is just genuinely the best way that I feel like you can have control over your job when you're reporting to someone else. Or in the end, when you think about it, we're literally just numbers at our companies, unless it's our company ourselves. Our job is to make the company look good, not us. It's not our company. Being able to set boundaries because I had that thought in the back of my head really allowed me to have more control over my work life, but also just be a better employee, because I know that I can dedicate, you know, I get paid to dedicate my time and my effort and to do a good job as best as I can from 9 to 5 or 5:30, but no more than that. That was the boundary that I really set for myself, and it will allow me to show up as a better person to my actual job and work better that way. And for something like, I guess, more like granular, saying yes to everything all the time would just mean that I'm working more hours than I have to because I didn't know how to say no. Or maybe it would mean that I do something incorrectly because I just didn't know how to say I can't do this. So those are food for thoughts that really helped me a lot in terms of setting boundaries, and it's just really important. A lot of these things, all of these 10 tips, I feel like we all know, but sometimes it just takes, you know, these 25 minutes that we're talking, I have no idea how long this video is going to be, to really tell you, like, set boundaries. It's okay to set boundaries. You can still be a thriving employee and set boundaries. If anything, I think people will respect you more because you have boundaries at work. Otherwise, you're just living to work, and you all know, if you watch my series, we work to live here, okay? Like, our jobs allow us to earn a life that we want to live. That's how I truly think work exists for me, at least my 9 to 5 job. And that's how I've been able to really set boundaries with myself. That's how I've been able to outline these 10 new tips 2 years after my first video, 6 years after graduating college. And I'm still learning stuff every single year. I talked earlier about that. And yeah, I think that's everything on setting boundaries. I hope you found these tips helpful. These were truly all tips that like came from my heart, as cheesy as that sounds. But I don't want to leave you guys with just tips from me. I'm going to leave on the screen here as I'm speaking right now all the different tips that you guys left on my Instagram story. I asked for people to share how long they've been working and then what their actual tips were, just so that you guys can see. All it takes sometimes is for you to read something or hear something to feel that spark of inspiration to do something about your job or to give yourself a better work-life balance. And we can all thrive working 9 to 5. I feel like I'm thriving. I mean, I'm taking mental health day today, but in general, I feel like I've really thrived in my 9 to 5 job because I have a good sense of who I am at the office. I have a good sense of work-life balance. So I can be my own self outside of the office, and work isn't actually everything. It's just the majority of our Monday through Fridays, but it's not everything. We are so much more than our jobs, and we work our jobs so that we can live our life. Okay guys, I think that's everything for this video. I hope you guys liked these 10 tips. I didn't look anything up. I didn't ask ChatGPT anything. Just truly wanted to think in my own experience of being a full-time 9 to 5 corporate girly, what tips I really had, because I have coffee chats all the time with interns, with new hires. I love doing this stuff. Like, mentorship is also something that I'm really passionate about at work. So this video was so fun for me because it kind of makes me feel like I'm providing that mentorship to whoever is watching this video. Make sure you guys watch at least just one video, okay? Watch one video of my Work to Live Diaries series. I promise you guys will like it. I show you guys what my life looks like outside of work during my 9 to 5 life. Sometimes I show you guys my weekends too, just because I like sharing my life with you guys. And I think that's everything. Make sure you're subscribed if you're not already. I post new videos twice a week in 2025. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video, but until then, miss you already. Cheers.